tons of money every year by creating your own food like I do, grab our Seed Pack Special. Just look for the banner on the homepage at freedomslips.com. Don't be a statistic. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. We need, as humans, to start taking care of ourselves and not depending on the megacorps to provide unhealthy, nasty food. Included in this package is also a DVD with 900 survival and off-grid living documents and the offline home canning how to do everything website all on the DVD. So when you're growing all that food, you know how to can it, store it, preserve it, etc. with all these documents. So thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I hope that you will pick up this package and start learning to be free. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps and freedom is one seed that needs to be planted.
What we do in life, it goes in eternity.
No, I just accidentally picked up. Good morning. This is Patrick English. I'm trying to get some people in on the call here. And
hello.
There you go. How you doing?
Oh, hi. Are we on air now?
I think so. Let me get Dodge.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's Christine Jonah Hart Show. And we were a little late in arriving, just a slight hiccup, but here we are. I'm broadcasting live from London. It's Monday. It's sunny and beautiful outside. It's fantastic. I have to leave on the hour. So I don't know if my producer, Patrick English, can carry on the show, but I will be away, so I'll be with you just for the first half, and then I'll have to go. This is my last Monday show due to work, callings of work. I work as a private investigator stroke journalist, so the callings of work will mean that I can't do Mondays in future. However, I will still be with you for the Thursday show. And I hope everyone caught up with the show I did on Thursday. I had EA Coetting on the show, and we talked about communion with fallen angels and portals, and it was a really fascinating show. So you can get that on my YouTube. So please subscribe to my YouTube, Christine Joanna Hart. Today we have guests Miles Johnston and Tajinder Gill with us to do an update on bases, and so they can let us know what's going on with them and how they're doing. So that was how I'm doing. That was my show on Thursday, which is quite interesting. I think Coetting is probably a super soldier, and I think all the demonic stuff that he does online is probably just his programming. And so hopefully he will bust out of that and do what he's supposed to be doing. So anyway, we've got Miles Johnston and Tajinder with us today. How are you guys?
Hi, yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Good. Miles? Miles? He's showing he's there, but he's not there. Patrick, did you manage to pull on Miles? Patrick? There's nobody here, is there, except for you and I, Tajinder?
All right.
Is he not there? Did we not manage to he didn't pick up. Okay. The producer's gone. Okay. Yeah, so you enjoyed the show I did, Tajinder, on Thursday. What made you enjoy it, Tajinder? We'll chat about that while Miles is
Here I see Miles writing. Pardon me for the
okay. His
burlesque
mic isn't
show.
working.
Oh. Excuse me for the burlesque show. Actually, no, I do have pants on. Let me. There.
Okay. Miles, your mic isn't working.
There.
Hello?
Yeah, I hear you now.
There you are. Okay. So how are you this fine sunny morning, Mr. Johnson?
Well, I've just been checking with the Basis Project venue, and it's the Bouverie Hall, and they're going to have fast internet installed, almost especially for us. So it means I'll be bringing Gabe Cruz over on Skype, because I think the cost of airfares is making a lot of things a bit too expensive, and I'm sure Gabe probably doesn't want to hear that, but we're going to have a targeted individual special on a Friday, we've got Kieran Lee Perrin turning up, and Kieran is probably one of the most leading British targeted individuals. He's got a huge background in the detail of what's going on, and there's a vast amount of attacks on people. The people who set up the organizations are being attacked. You know, there's a huge effort to stop the targeted individual. That's to say, people who can prove it. My target individual category is you've got to prove it, and that means you've got to have MRI scans. You got to show you got stuff in your head or your body. And that's what basis TI is. But a lot of people, you know, claim if it rains on a sunny day, they're being targeted. You know.
Yeah, but a lot. I mean, I've been targeted. You've been targeted. It can be really nasty, and I don't think you and I can prove it. I think if you come out and you're sharing about stuff, then you can.
Yeah,
You're obviously targeted.
There's a fundamental division in the targeted individual category. Is that TIs are basically people who are being targeted by human agencies with the abuse of human-derived or wherever they got the technology from, that kind of stuff. Marie Kayali, who is probably one of the most heroic and bravest women I've ever met, came forward, and she is very insistent that her implants and the material and the stuff that she has is alien-derived. And this is a big difference. So it's very, I mean, Marie gave me a whole pile of MRI scans of the technology inside her head. And this is a really brave act. Marie really has suffered tremendously. And even just mentioning her name, she'll go bananas. But the point is, this is really important. We've got to get past this. We've got to really start finding out what's really going on. Marie was also, some research was going to be done on her with a Korean university, and I mean, this was going up to very high level with a source from Oxford University, whereas Kieran's material was going to hit the national press, and then they got a phone call saying that you can't run the story. Kieran has been briefed, and he is basically a counterintelligence agent to fight this stuff. So he's talking about, he'll be talking at the Basis Conference for a couple of hours. We're going to bring in Gabe Cruz. And Gabe Cruz is a guy who's from the Pacific Northwest, and he's an American cell phone tower engineer, and he's worked out the toxic effects of the technology we're using. And we'll have Peter Paget talking. He's a former MI6 agent blowing the whistle here in the UK on the alien problem. And he won't mince his words, and he won't be repeating himself either. And so you've got to catch up on what he's talking about on the recordings at Warminster, which we did. And he's also been on Open Your Mind Radio, OIM Radio, which is an online station out of Ireland. So this is a situation which seems to be developing really quite quickly. And Taj has just told me this morning, I've just tried to check it again, that the Basis Project website is down again. So there seems to be an effort to really stop this from happening. And interesting, folks, that David Icke was on the BBC, a very good program. That was, I mean, Taj might be able to say what the actual name of it is. So
he was on there this week.
The Daily Politic, is it?
It was This Week show on.
Yeah, it's one of these things which you'll be able to see on what's called BBC iPlayer, but I think it's already managed to get out. Because it's a BBC program, if you're outside the UK, you won't be able to see it. But if you got the relevant dongle, or I think it's on Facebook now, for the BBC even to have that, and they're not obviously going to let him say anything he's going to say, but things are developing quickly, so that's the thing to see. But the point is that targeted individuals have got technology in them which is derived from this parasitic Trojan horse technology that we use as computer systems. But that's another story.
I was talking to Lisa Williams about it. Targeted. She's targeted in the same way I am.
But she's alien. Her stuff. She'd wake up with a round little missing patch of hair on her back, and she
Yes, but
a lot of greys and stuff like that.
yeah. But she also has her life screwed by. You know the gang stalking where they
Yeah.
infest somebody nearby who's vulnerable and get them to attack. They use various different methods, and she believes that the Greys are there, which is actually what Stephen Greer says, and I believe too that the Greys are military. They
But
just
no,
are
yeah, but
military.
no, hold on here. Stephen Greer didn't say that. Barry King said that. Stephen Greer ignored that data, the English data, and
Oh,
so did your man
okay.
Jacobs.
He said
And
it at the
Bonifaz.
lecture in
They
London.
ignored
Oh,
the British data involving the German-derived program-generated life forms here in Wiltshire for about 15 years or
right.
more.
Oh.
And this is, and I mean, don't even get me going on Greer.
I don't like him, but yeah,
Well,
he said it
the
at
point
the.
is that this program, the targeted, the generated life form program, is an interesting. There's a thing here. The Scottish National Party just come up on the internet here, which I've just looked at. The founders of the Scottish National Party were involved with the installation of MK Ultra programming in Britain. I mean, this is really widespread. But
Yeah,
the whole
and well,
point about
anybody
this,
that
and also the
what?
hairdresser in Nottingham, he about this being called Anne, designated Anne, is a feeble humanoid type creature being which looks like a grey. It started life out as humans. Now, what's happening now is we're going through that process again. We're heading for a cyborg, specifically created, human-derived robot cyborg race, and that is in Scotland from August. Every newborn, not even born, once a woman is pregnant, she will have a state helper who will be designated to watch over and take care of that child. So in Scotland, the state takes care, and will take your child off you if you don't do what they say, as of August. Right
No.
to the point where if the child is not going to survive, they are taking take hold of the child, keep it in an incubator so it grows to whatever stage they want. Then they will harvest its organs.
It's horrible.
And they will create more cyborg beings off that child's stem cells because they can use that for artificial sperm. So, I mean, this is where people have really got to wake up on this. Now, Taj is going to be starting a basis station. That's if anybody wants to do this sort of stuff or get involved with this, they can set up their own little groups, hanging onto the basis title, and they'll be basis stations. And I know another Christine Marie Carey wants to do something down in Portsmouth, south of England. And so I'll hand over to Taj, and he can talk about what that is.
Yeah, the first basis station is going to be held in Reading. That's actually going to be held, decided on a date on Thursday, the 2nd of June. It's basically for people who are experiencing this type of stuff with targeted individuals and gang stalking and experiencers or abductees, or just people in general who most people tend to find that they can talk about stuff online, but they don't really get into it, and they don't really want to open up too much online about this kind of stuff. So these meetings are really for people to come along and share their experience to what's happened to them if they've been targeted, or if they've had experience with contact with greys or abductions or anything like that. And it's basically a safe environment where they can talk about this type of stuff and not be, ridiculed and, judged about what's happened to them, really. That's basically the basis stations in a nutshell. We want to move it after the first meeting to other regions throughout the UK and possibly outside the UK as well. So we'll have these small groups in towns and cities all over the world, really, where people will be getting together and sharing their experience, sharing knowledge about how to, fight these attacks if they're TIs, and hopefully share their experiences as well. Maybe I should talk a bit more about myself as well, as most people don't really know me apart from through the Bases group.
Yeah, Taj was one of the prominent questioners at a Bases at the Barge, where Max and Sarah and Danielle Leverite appeared at, and he gave some very informed questions on that from the floor. If anybody wants to see who Taj is.
Yeah, I'm on that video, I think, on YouTube. Basically, I came about the Bases group through YouTube. I was initially interested in James Casbolt's story because I didn't really know anything about super soldiers or that type of thing. And I was sort of into the conspiracy type things, things like 9/11 and Sandy Hook and all of that. And I was looking into that myself, and I came across the Bases project online and started watching some of the stuff to do with Casbolt and some of the other videos about super soldiers, and that interested me in that area, and I wanted to know more about it because it seemed like there was almost like another world that I didn't know anything about that was going on. And then I started getting involved in the group probably about 6 months ago, where I was asked to administer the Facebook group that the Bases Project has. And since then, it's really been a lot of people have been getting in touch with me pretty much on a daily basis with the stuff that they're going through. And the group has grown to like almost 5,000 members now. We should approach 5,000 by the time the conference is up anyway. So really, I mean, the group is again about sharing information about what's going on in the world, everything from UFO sightings and politics and such. And people contact me with their stories as to what's happened to them personally, and I tend to get the same sort of story over and over again, where people have got into relationships and they've been targeted, they've lost everything, and they're pretty isolated and alone. And this seems to be the same story over and over again, and it almost seems to be like people who are waking up are being put back down again for some reason and not being allowed to wake up at all. And basically, the government or the military, intelligence services, push them down, spy on them, take away their children, and anything they could possibly do to put them down. Personally, I haven't been targeted so much. I mean, I think most people, like myself and Mars, are probably being watched most of the time, but that doesn't really worry me because I don't have anything to hide. But most people don't anyway with targeted individuals. But it's the fact that no one believes you that this is happening to you also makes it worse as well, especially when you can't really talk about this kind of stuff with your family members because they'll look at you like you're crazy or something. And these people can only share this kind of stuff with other people in the Bases community because we can understand their point of view because we've been through the same kind of thing, and we know people who've been through the same kind of thing, and we know it's real and it's happening, and it's not some made up story that a lot of people tend to ridicule online. And that really makes me upset when I've seen people being gang stalked online. It's not a pleasant thing to watch. When you know the person as well, it makes it worse. But it's happening more and more now as more people are waking up. I don't know what you think, Mars, but whether it's getting worse now or not. Miles, are you there?
I'm here, Taj. Miles, are you on mute? You with us? You may have some mic issues.
All right. Well, basically, the Bases station, at the moment, we've got a few people who have requested to attend the Reading meeting, but we would like more people to to join us. So you can find us on Facebook under the Basis Project, and if you just request to join the group, and you can find more information on there about the Basis Station Reading, and hopefully in the coming weeks and months we'll have groups set up throughout the country. Hopefully the first meeting will go well. We want to do also for targeted individuals, we want to do implant scans. So if you think you've got implants anywhere about you, we can scan for those and confirm whether you do have implants or not. And this is another thing where targeted individuals, people don't believe that they have implants. You know, if you tell someone you've been abducted and you've got implants in you, again, they look at you like you're from another planet. But once, you know, you have things like MRI scans and x-rays to show that these are actually inside you, you know, I know Kieran's had a lot of problems where doctors won't touch him, basically. Once they see these MRI scans, you know, they won't go anywhere near it because, you know, they know they know what these implants are. And obviously a lot of the hospitals and such are controlled by the government, and doctors are told not to, you know, remove these implants or to even deal with the person, really. So it's another thing as to if you have implants, where do you go? Who do you talk to? You know, how do you get these things out of you? And so again, these meetings are places where people can talk about this stuff and hopefully get help to possibly remove these things, and maybe even find out a bit more about, you know, what these implants are actually doing to them. Because I believe the implants don't they monitor you as, but they also may be affecting you as well, as far as, you know, if you have an implant in your brain or other parts of your body, it may be controlling you without you even knowing. So
How do you go about surveilling for these?
well, Miles can talk a bit more about that. He's got the scanning equipment that scans for that type of thing. I believe there's they work on specific frequencies, and if you scan for those frequencies, you can detect them.
Okay.
A lot of the scanners which can scan for these are no longer available online, because obviously people don't want you to have these scanners and find these implants. But I believe Mars has a scanner which is capable of detecting the frequencies that these implants work at.
Is somebody likely to have something behind their right ear?
It can be pretty much anywhere in your body, really, in your ear, behind your eye,
Yeah. No,
in your brain.
it's not in. This is like under the skin,
Mm.
behind my right ear.
Yes, possibly, yeah.
Something minor, if it is. I was just always curious about it.
Yeah, I mean, the implants can be all over the body. I think Kieran has them like in his spine, in his ear, his eye, all over, really. And these scanners can detect them. Although a lot of the time, I believe Miles, when he scans for them, the implants are aware they're being scanned, and they get activated sometimes as well. And the person can actually feel the implant moving, which may be quite uncomfortable for them. But again, this is something that you have to experience it to know that it's happening to you. And a lot of people don't believe targeted individuals when they talk about this kind of thing. Obviously, it's quite hard for them because they're very isolated again. They don't have other people who are in a similar situation who are also being targeted to talk to, you know. And it's okay talking online about this kind of stuff, but you know, it's, you know, if you meet someone face to face and, you know, you can share your experience, that's what we want to try and do through the basis stations. Because at the moment, I don't believe there are any groups in the UK or possibly in the world where this type of thing is happening, where people are getting together who have similar experiences and trying to find a way to get around it, really, either to get rid of these implants or to find out, as most people don't even know why they're being targeted. You know, why are specific people getting these implants? You know, there must be some reason that they have been targeted.
In the
Maybe
U.S., there's a lot of that goes on here in the States.
what's targeting.
Yeah, and like you'll see like UFO cons and things, and they generally have their facets of TI investigation along somewhere in the conference, or it'll be so big there'll be a table for that.
Yeah, again, they can, you know, scan for the implants, but a lot of people, you know, they want to know why me. You know, why is this happening to me and it's not happening to, you know, somebody else?
Oh, of course.
You know, so maybe, you know, again, by having these groups, targeted individuals can talk to each other. They can find some kind of common ground where, you know, they can work out why they're being targeted. You know, maybe they've both had abductee experiences, or they both worked in the military or intelligence services. Maybe, you know, this is something that we need to investigate a bit more and find out why targeted individuals, you know, are being targeted. Again, it's, you know, it's very little information about it online, and what information there is, you know, is not very reliable. As again, people like the intelligence services know that this is happening and that they sort of infiltrate these groups and put, you know, false information, you know, out there. So again, you know, these groups where you can talk to someone face to face, you know who you're talking to, you know, whereas online you don't know who you're really talking to really. You know, someone might say that they're a targeted individual just to try and get information out of you, you know, find out, you know, who you are, what you're doing, that type of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why the in-person thing is so important, and that's why I mentioned like UFO conferences where a lot of people are going to be getting together. So it's a
yeah,
face-to-face thing.
yeah, but also, you know, those type of conferences as well, you'll get, you know, intelligence services there to see, you know, the kind of people
Mm-hmm.
who are being targeted, and, you know, they may even be approached at, you know,
Hmm. Yeah.
these UFO conferences. So again, you have to be careful really, because you don't know who you're talking
Oh yeah.
to.
Oh yeah. Unless
So
you know.
that's why we're trying to provide like a safe environment where, you know, you can talk. You know, there's not going to be, you know, some guy from MI6 or GHCQ sat there listening to you. You know, so, you know, again, it's an issue we have really worldwide, where people don't have a safe place to talk about this kind of stuff. And, you know, the internet's becoming more and more, you know, where people are trying to share information, but you don't know who's listening, or, you know, who's, you know, who you're talking to really. So
That's true.
you know, I talk to a lot of people on Facebook, and again, I don't know who I'm really talking to, you know, because they might say they're a certain person, but, you know, I've had people friend me on Facebook and they're not who they say they are, you know, and after a while I realise that they're either spying on me or trying to get information from me, um, and even people pretending to be, uh, you know, I've had people with profiles who look the same as, you know, some of my friends. They use the same pictures as some of my friends to try and friend me. Um, you know, so you have to be careful really online, and obviously targeted individuals are probably a bit more paranoid than most people, because, you know, they're having to deal with this kind of thing on a daily basis. So I guess it probably does make you a lot more paranoid when you think that you're being, you know, targeted for, you know, a specific reason. Um,
And there
so
can be various degrees of targeting too, correct?
that's true as well. Yeah, I mean, you know, at the worst, you can be like followed all the time. People can infiltrate your family and friends, possibly. Um, And those type of targetings are quite intense because you are basically on your own. You can't go to family, you can't go to friends because you don't know who to trust. So it's pretty much on your own, really. And that's when these kind of people, that's when these targeted individuals tend to go online looking for help, and they don't find it. A lot of these targeted individuals, they get to the point where they don't know what to do, and some of them unfortunately do, take their own lives, and that type of thing, and it's quite sad. We want to try and prevent that from happening. So that these people do have a safe environment where they can talk about this stuff. Unfortunately, it's going to get worse, basically, unfortunately. The way I see things, are happening where stuff like transhumanism, where people are, volunteering to put things in their body, to put, become basically cyborgs, really, to put implants inside them because they want to extend their life, or they want to live forever and this type of thing. It's just getting ridiculous, to be honest. People are losing sight, really, as to what it is to be a human being. They don't really get it, and I think the whole the issue with transhumanism is a whole nother story, really. But that's mostly what I've covered. Really, is pretty much what we want to get across with the basis stations. But anybody can come to a meeting. You don't have to be a targeted individual or an abductee. If you're looking into this type of stuff and you're interested in it and you want to know more, and you may find that the information you're looking at online doesn't make sense, or there's contradicting information online, with one site saying one thing and another site saying something else, and you want to maybe speak to a targeted individual and find out what's going on and why it's happening to them, and maybe even you might have some knowledge which can help them, then just come along to one of the meetings, share your experience, share your knowledge, and hopefully we can fight this thing.
What are typical meeting environs?
Sorry?
What are typical meeting environs?
What do you mean by environs? Sorry.
Where do you select to have the meeting for?
Well,
because I'm sure you advertise at least to select people, but I was just wondering, what type, do you meet in pubs, or do you rent a small auditoriums thing idea, or, I'm just curious.
Sorry, is this music playing?
No, it shouldn't be.
Oh.
Just me and you. I don't know where Miles is. He's showing, but he might be having microphone trouble. He's coming in intermittently, I believe. You hear that static?
All right, sorry, I've heard some music start playing on here for some reason.
No, I don't believe. I'd be hearing it too if there were. Do you hear a bumper?
No, it might have just been my iPad, maybe. I don't know. Is Miles still there? I can't.
His picture is. Yeah, if you have the screen up, I see the server, I see Miles, and I see you. And
all right.
See me. I'm holding a cat.
All right, yeah, that's Miles. Yeah. I've covered pretty much everything there is with the basis stations. The environment. At the moment, we're going to be held where the first meeting is going to be held in a hotel, in one of the rooms there in the hotel.
Okay, that's all I'm getting at.
We want really a quiet sort of environment, really. The hotel is just a few minutes from my home, so if people want to do things like implant scans, they can be done in my home. But we really want a safe environment. Also somewhere A lot of people watch the Basis project videos. You know, they might watch a video once and then never go back to it. And you know, Miles has done a lot of work putting hundreds of videos and interviews on the YouTube site, and some of the older videos hardly get viewed. And
Well, I know he has quite a bit of coverage because I know a lot of people who have mentioned his names and bases in connection with his name.
yeah, I've been contacting a lot of people to get interviews for people like Sarah, like the Art Bell Show and Jimmy Church and people like that. I'm quite surprised that they've all heard of Miles and they know about his work, and you know they're quite happy to provide any help that they can
Yeah.
with Miles. So you know, and even people like Kerry Cassidy knows Miles quite well with Project Camelot, and you know I enjoy Kerry Cassidy's work a lot. You know, I watched a lot of her stuff, and she's putting out you know a lot of good information out there as well. But a lot of people, when they watch these videos, they may watch them once and never go back to them again. But sometimes, with a lot of these videos, you have to watch them 3, 4, 5 times to actually take in all the information. You know that's you know in a 2-hour video is a lot of information to take in,
Yeah.
and if you watch it just once, you might miss a lot of stuff. So a lot of the time, I tend to watch the videos a few times to get all the information in. Really,
Yeah, you'll hear it, you'll think about it, but then you won't remember it, you know. So,
yeah, you can watch a video and within a few days, you'll forget you know a lot of the information that was in it. And again, at these meetings, we want to like discuss and maybe watch some of the videos again, especially some of the older ones, where the information you know may still be more relevant now than it was you know when the interview took place, because things may have moved on since the interview, and you might think, oh, well, I understand why he said that now, because
time
it's
change.
actually happening, you know. So you know a lot of things can be confirmed as well from interviews maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, where things were supposed to happen and they did, and you know we can maybe go back to those people and interview them again, you know, for more information.
Uh-huh.
So these are the kind of things we can discuss at the meetings and you know give feedback back to Miles. But I know Miles is swamped really with requests for interviews and you know all the editing work that he does to put these videos together. It takes a lot of time. So you know I know it's difficult for him.
Yeah, yeah, it can be for one person without a secretary and a entourage.
Yeah, it is difficult. I mean, I try and help where I can, but I've only been part of the group for less than a year. Um, I'm trying to help with a lot of stuff like the website and the group and everything else. Um, but it is a pretty small crew that we have at the basis station. Um, and again, if you want to be part of the conference, we're looking for crew members, anyone who can help, especially with video, audio, that type of thing. On the 3 days of the conference, we'll need help putting stuff together, you know, for filming and that type of thing. Or if you just want to help out during the conference, just volunteer and come along.
Oh, you can excuse me, I'm still waking up. The alarm was going off. It had been going off for 30 minutes. But in my dream state, it didn't kind of much matter to me. Then I opened my eyes and realized it was 4 minutes till the hour. So I kind of rolled out of bed and got going as fast as I could.
That's all right, Patrick.
It's 5 in the morning here,
Yeah, I understand that.
and it's rough. It really is. This will be the last very early Monday show, though.
Yeah, you're doing only the Thursday show from now on. So
Do you have the window that you're seeing? Do you have the script writer below it where you can the text writer where you can see text?
uh, all right, a minute. Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, I'd written something.
All right.
I
Okay.
didn't want to say anything. That's all. I just wanted.
All right. I understand. Yeah.
Mhm. But it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, again, there's a lot of information out there where a lot of people, I think, when they start waking up, tend to go on in sites like YouTube, and I probably made this mistake a lot of times as well, where there's a lot of disinformation on YouTube. There's a lot of what you might call trolls, or again, people pretending to be someone they're not, making videos which look pretty good, and things like, I don't really want to bring up the flat Earth thing again, but that's been on the internet for some time now, and so many people believe in the flat Earth. It's ridiculous, really.
It's bizarre. I can tell you where that starts too. Nighthawk, the station owner, did a web crawler, and he finally found the origin of all that.
All right.
And it's Islam and Sharia law, basically. They promulgate that idea, and if people only knew that, I think they might stop being so interested in the idea. I mean, such a silly idea to begin with, but there you go.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Yeah, that's just the thing, though. I mean, a lot of videos, they go for an hour, 2 hours, even 3 hours, where they'll explain the flat Earth, and people will come out of it completely confused.
Yeah, right. It's a forbidden topic here on the station. It's
all right. Okay, I'll stop talking about it then.
I'm not trying, But yeah. I mean, you're right. It serves to show up the type of disinformation which is rife.
Yeah, it just confuses the issue really for people. Especially when you're like you might be waking up and you want to find information about, everyone gets into things like the secret space program, UFOs, anything to do with like sci-fi or technology. That type of stuff is obviously interesting to anyone really.
Yeah, it's hard to believe unless you're just kind of really young and you never looked up. But I'm pushing 65, and I've looked up all my life, and I have seen enough things. I have seen UFOs because they were up there. It was an object. It was, I guess you could say, flying or floating, and it was unidentified. So it fit all three, and so indeed that's what it was. So there's a preferred term that's coming to the fore these days. It's another three. It's another acronym. I forget what it is.
Yeah, again, it's like UFOs are not really UFOs because they're not from outer space. They may be from a different dimension and just appearing. They don't travel, thousands of light years to get here. They just get here through interdimensionally.
The Jacques Vallée thesis.
Yeah.
Which I kind of, I resonate with that to an extent, actually. And it's just be our own Air Force military, it could be part of the quote unquote secret space program.
That's true as well, yeah. It could be a back engineered craft.
Right.
Even stuff that's been engineered from the Roswell crash or other crashes after that. But no one's, as far as any official capacity, will admit to UFOs.
Oh, of course not.
If anyone's if anyone's expecting the president to go on TV and say, aliens are here, they're living on another planet, really.
Now, if I saw something, the last people I would ever go tell would be the police or any sort of quote unquote authorities. I just don't. I just, hope to see more. I keep it to myself, and at the right time, I'll tell people who may be interested. But no, I don't run down there. Oh, look. I don't do that.
Yeah, that's probably the last thing you want to do, really, because you'll probably get either locked up or, worse.
Yeah, and not like that, I just have no faith in their ability to transmit any kind of information, or even quote be on quote unquote our side with regard to it.
Yeah, again, anyone in authority, I think, is probably controlled to a certain extent. So, you won't find many police officers or, government personnel who admit to seeing UFOs themselves,
No.
And even people like airline pilots are scared of
Right.
admitting that they've seen UFOs in case they lose their job. So,
Significant backlash.
yeah,
And the
so it's
police here are
suppressed.
not too bright.
Yeah, it's suppressed quite heavily, really. So, I mean, I follow channel called Able Danger. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yes.
He's ex airline pilot, where he's put a lot of information out about the uninterruptible autopilot system, where they can take over a plane if it gets hijacked. I think a lot of these, recently a plane crashed in Egypt.
Yeah, just the other day,
And
in fact.
yeah,
It's been said, it's also being said that the thing just landed in Israel and all the rest is disinfo, and there's a whole lot towards that idea.
yeah. In the last couple of years, a lot of planes have sort of, crashed or disappeared under mysterious circumstances.
Hmm.
You'd think in this modern age that with GPS and tracking and everything else, that you'd be able to find a plane. It's a
Except
pretty
when they
big,
don't want you to.
yeah, it's a pretty big thing, to lose, really.
Indeed.
It's not like your car keys, is it? Really, you don't really lose it down the back of the sofa or something. So, and nobody really knows what's happened to MH370 still, and it's been a couple of years now, and there's all kinds of theories floating around about that. Again,
The object is to confuse.
yes, yeah, definitely, confuse is the main object. But there's so much stuff going on in the world that people don't really care anymore.
Yeah, you can't.
You know,
You just can't keep. You don't have enough fingers to keep on everything.
yeah, people are busy with their day-to-day lives. It's in the news for a few days, and then you don't hear anything about it again.
Hmm.
And that seems to be the same thing over and over again, and it's getting a bit tedious, really. I think for people who are awake and have looked into this kind of thing, I think the mainstream news is a joke, really, to be honest.
I don't.
I very, very rarely tend to watch the mainstream news anymore.
I haven't had a TV for 3 years.
All right, okay.
I got so sick of it. There was nothing on it. I mean, and it in itself is an assault. The flicker rate, even the rate at which the cameras cut from scene to scene, is now several times a second, and that gets very wearing very fast.
Mm.
And no, I just had to put it to rest.
Yeah, a lot of people have come to me and tell me about that they can't really watch TV anymore, especially since it's gone digital, because the amount of information that's coming through on the TV, and it's even more intense than it was before.
Oh yeah.
And even a lot of these modern TVs with smart TVs, they've got cameras and microphones inside them, spying on you as well. A lot of the TV programs have, certain frequencies built into them
Right.
to program you. I don't know how many people have watched a movie and just sat there and almost been hypnotized, and just suddenly realize that the movie's finished, and they don't even realize that they watched the whole movie.
Uh-huh.
It's like you're being hypnotized when you're sat in front of a TV, basically. And once you're hypnotized, you can be made to do anything. You can be programmed, and
That's right.
all kinds of things that you don't know about. So
Yeah, I've got a big one up front in the front room, but it's just not used unless I feel like hooking up the DVD player and watching a movie. But then I'm less worried about that because I know what I'm watching because I've watched it numbers of times before.
yeah, but it's all around you now, because everyone's got a smartphone with them now, and you can watch programs, and get pretty much everything on a smartphone these days.
Or
Um,
I've got a smartphone, I've got an iPad, I've got a computer, but I find them useful because I read forums
mm,
on the iPad before I go to bed, and I don't feel like I'm being indoctrinated in any way doing that.
yeah, again, it's just another way of spying and tracking you really.
Yeah.
Even with something like like an iPhone, you can't even take the battery out of an iPhone, so you can't turn it off.
Right.
Even if you turn it off, it's not really off. They can still turn the microphone on remotely.
Oh, well,
And
happy to know
so,
how boring my life is. They're welcome to come on,
yeah,
and probably stop spending much time with me in short order.
all right. Um,
We still do have Miles. I don't know if he can hear us or.
no, it's got a message from Miles.
Okay.
I don't think he's coming back for the second half.
Well, we're not.
He's had to take a call, I think, or something.
Okay.
There might be an emergency or something he's had to deal with.
Okay. So it's just you and I now, which is fine. I'm happy to be here and talk to you if you can stand my less than perky style.
That's okay, really. I mean,
You're well ahead into your day over there in England. It's like it's going on 6 in the morning here.
yeah, it's coming up to 12 o'clock here in the UK.
I'm trying to. I've got a cup of coffee here. I wish I hadn't. I'm kind of run out of sugar. Not that that does me any good, but it does improve the coffee.
Well, I don't know what else you want to talk about, Patrick. But what are you interested
Oh,
in this type of
so,
field?
well, anything and everything. Besides just spending a lot of time working on the staff here at the station on any number of shows, I produce a number of psychics, and then I work in management, and I work as a moderator and as production. Then I'll do a show later on today, and but it's not a normal show. It's more an impromptu because someone isn't around. But I always love to get up and yammer. I have no trouble yammering for 2 hours. Now, whether the listener can stand it or not is another thing, but generally I read like very old texts, and I've been going through the Ora Linda book of the ancient Free Asians lately. And then I hang around and I get on the jazz guitar for them. That's one of my real super fiendishly interested things because I'm an old guitar player from way back.
All right.
And so,
Yeah, it's funny you should mention psychics. Really, I've been in contact with a few psychics through bases.
but we're all psychic actually.
Yeah,
So
that's true. Everyone's psychic to a certain extent, I guess. Some more than others.
right,
I guess that.
and you can learn to flex those muscles to greater degrees. My impressions are generally pretty good. It comes in handy when you're modding.
I think I tend to have pretty good instincts.
Yeah,
I think
that's how I would couch it too.
yeah, but a lot of people don't tend to go with their instincts. It's again, it's like people are trained, to believe what you're told rather than believe what you feel.
Right. Well, there's a curious percentage with regard to all this and how people are affected, and it seems to be something on the order of 20% of people are not affected despite all their efforts via their chemtrails, with their foods and messing with the water, and then the electromagnetic frequencies in the air, and God knows whatever else. And so I feel I'm one of those who, fortunately, am less affected. I've kind of been, quote unquote, awake all my life because ever since I was 9 years old, my dad taught me. Let's get back to this.
freedomslips.com. And we'll be right back after this message. Thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we believe in freedom of ideas, freedom of speech, but above all, we believe in freedom of existence through self-reliance. This station is 100% listener-supported, and as a fundraising promotion, I have a kick-ass free gift for a $100 donation. 35,000 seeds. 25 years in the freezer. Long-term storable, 54 different varieties. So if food prices go crazy, the shit hits the fan, or if you just want to save tons of money every year by creating your own food like I do, grab our seed pack special. Just look for the banner on the homepage at freedomslips.com. Don't be a statistic. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. We need, as humans, to start taking care of ourselves and not depending on the megacorps to provide unhealthy, nasty food. Included in this package is also a DVD with 900 survival and off-grid living documents and the offline home canning how to do everything website all on the DVD. So when you're growing all that food, you know how to can it, store it, preserve it, etc. with all these documents. So thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I hope that you will pick up this package and start learning to be free. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps and freedom is one seed that needs to be planted.
What we do in life, it goes in eternity.
Well, that was sort of abrupt, but that does happen early morning times. This is Patrick Anglish, and I'm your producer for this last show of Christine's Monday shows. And you're listening to Revolution Radio, which is found at freedomslips.com or freedomslips.com, however you want to read that. We're the biggest user-supported internet station in the world, in the cosmos. And we get by your donations. If you don't help us, we can't do this. So we need you if you like what we do for you. All of us who work here do it for nothing, and none of us feel like it's wasted effort. I quite enjoy myself. And I am looking so far at a monthly total as of the 23rd of May. I'm seeing 1685, and we need 2650. So we're less than $1,000 short of our needed goal, and this just goes to run the servers and pay the bills. Nobody gets paid, like I said, and so it is most important that you can find it. Even I know it's hard. If everyone who listened could give $5 or $10, we would be 3 months ahead, which would be something, I don't know, as yet unseen. But we've been doing this for 5 years and 5 months, so apparently we're making it go. And we have over 90 hosts. We've got 2 studios going 24/7 with either a live show or a well-selected replay. And we have roundtables during the evening hours, the nighttime hours, up to the early morning. This is the first early morning slot where you get a live show that's a show. And we, if for your donations, this is important to know. We give as good as we get. If you can find it in your heart and the bank account to give us $100 and indicate that you wish this, you will get the jumbo seed pack, and that's 34,500 seeds, consisting of 54 different varieties of vegetables and some melons and berries, and you will be able to keep living until you die, and then those seeds will feed your descendants until they die, and because that's the way seeds work. It's the way seeds have worked since the beginning of creation, when God decided he wanted to make things work like that. And these seeds are non-GMO, they're non-hybrid, and they're all heirloom. And that's what heirloom means. They keep inheriting themselves. They keep inheriting their own ability to pick themselves up by the bootstraps and keep on growing. As long as you take the time to gather forth the seeds from the fruits and vegetables, well, not fruits, but from the vegetables and melons, because fruits come from trees and we don't sell trees. But anyway, also for $50, there is the bullet drive, and it looks like a 50 caliber machine gun shell. And it's got over 900 book-sized documents of everything on how to prepare food and save it, as well as survival and preparation, and pretty much all the same documents that you will find on the DVD that's included with the jumbo seed pack. I have both of these items, and I can attest to them. Also, this month we're running a special. It's a Silver Eagle, and that can be had for $75. You can get the archives for $4.99 a month, and you can subscribe to them as well. So if there's any show that you miss, once you buy these archives, you can hear any show that entire month for the years 2014 and 2015. We have DVDs for any show that you want. Now, not host, but show, because some hosts have 2 different shows or more. And if you indicate that particular show, you will get it. It's $30, I believe, but half of the net goes to the host, and that helps the hosts out. We have other goodies like the Zazzle store, and that connects into Amazon in a correlative manner. So that means that whatever kind of stuff you might have been looking for on the station but didn't find, well, you'll get pretty much the same thing over at Amazon, which is a much bigger place for that sort of thing. And go to our main page and have a look around and see all the things that are available to you. But please, please, please help us, because we need it. We need it to keep going. And with that, I am going to again say hello to Taj, and hopefully Christine will pop in a second. She said she would, and I still see Miles, but he probably just had to get up and leave. So he's showing, but he's not with us. So hello, Taj.
Hi, Patrick.
Yeah, when the bumper came in, I was saying ever since I was 9 years old, I've been reading Fate magazine. I don't know if you've ever seen Fate magazine or not. I know it is in Britain, but it's an American publication.
Oh, I know. We don't get that over here, I don't think.
Okay, well, I know it's to be had here and there. But at any rate, that got me into all stuff weirdness very early on, UFOs, ghosts, things psychic, you name it, because that's what the magazine deals with, being named Fate, as you might well imagine. And so all my life I've been tuned into all of this sort of thing. And then in 2003, shortly after I'd moved back here from where I was living down the road, because I do music and I was very embroiled in a lot of recording and stuff of my own stuff, which I still am able to do, though I haven't done it in couple of years. Need to get back to it. I started taking a really hard look, poking around the internet, and all the 9/11 stuff was starting to be revealed one way or the other. And ever since then, I've been awake in that sense, and I've always looked up. All my life, I've looked up in the sky. You know, I used telescopes when I was a kid. I used to look at the stars. I've got two half decent ones. My dad's old one, and one I bought too. I've got a reflector and a refractor. And
yeah, I've got a telescope as well. I've got a 5-inch telescope.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, is that a reflector?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I got one of the Edmund Scientific cheapies, but they're kind of decent for what it is. And then my dad's old refractor is really pretty kick-ass. It's a good telescope. And so, and several lenses and all that good stuff. And then I'm an astrologer too. So I've been studying that for over 40 years.
All right.
And so, you know, I'm all about all this kind of stuff. And psychic, I use a pendulum. I have runes and cards and what have you there. and even some rods somewhere, but I need to fix them because they don't need sleeves on them. They just makes them just kind of swing around wildly. All you gotta do is hold it in your hand; it'll turn. I know. I've seen my plumber use them, and and it was right every time. Looking for pipe joins under the ground, so you didn't have to dig up the whole yard, you know.
Mm.
And so I'm into all this, and then for the first time in 40 years, I got my hair halfway down my chest, and having longer hair increases a lower general psychism to which we all have access, and I feel that's good. I'm an old hippie, so I'm a long-haired musician. You know, I'm an old lead guitarist. So that's why I tell you I hang out on jazz guitar forum because when you get to be a certain age, you kind of say, well, there's more on the horizon, you know. You want to see some real playing. Well, check out this over here. And I've studied jazz ever since like 1972, one way or another, because I went to a Berkeley music school for a short period of time. So
Talking about space, I mean, you say you're an astronomer, you looked at space for a long time.
hmm
What do you think? I mean, there's a lot of these stories about we haven't actually, been to the moon, we haven't been in space, and
I think
international space station isn't really there's nobody on board. It's all fake.
well, I think I've seen what was supposed to be the International Space Station pass overhead right on time when they said it was, and it couldn't have been anything else. There was certainly no aircraft, and it looked man-made too. It looked like something in orbit now. Just how manned or not it is, because I saw that little YouTube clip about the green screen and all this, and
Mm.
it's just the alternative world of news is actually more infiltrated than the mainstream, it seems, and so you've got to be really discerning. But yeah, and you know, I also think we went to the moon, but I think the whole photo show, the whole film show about it was done in Hollywood. That's
Mm.
my take on it. But the only thing that I'm curious about is, and I think it's a good question, but how did the orbiter manage to, with such precision, manage to leave the moon's surface and meet up? I mean, the landing module. How did it manage to leave the moon's surface and meet up with the orbiter without more of a hitch or just missing it entirely? I mean, because that's pretty tiny, you know, when you're dealing with things of the magnitude of planetary sized objects. But I still think they did it. I really, there's, that's my feel. That's my take. I cannot prove what I feel. I don't think the whole thing was just this huge fake job.
Mm.
Uh,
I think they did it, but they did it with help from
could,
someone else, so to
I
speak.
think so too. Because I
Um,
saw some very strange photographs
yeah,
of a leg that was entirely too long to fit on any human body that was in a space suit. I don't know if you ever saw that photograph, but that was.
I think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah,
Uh,
because I think just a few weeks before that mission, Apollo 11, they couldn't even control the landing module here on Earth. I think they crashed it, and about 3 weeks before, so there was no way they could have landed on the moon
yeah.
with
Well,
the way that they couldn't even control it.
right, I agree, and they were fibbing about, you know, they like to say that the moon's gravity was such and such a percentage of the Earth's gravity, but as it's turning out, it appears that the moon's gravity is about 60% of the Earth's gravity,
Mm.
which is far more substantial than had theretofore been advertised as being. And yeah, okay, but a good telescope, you start scoping out the moon's surface, you're going to see a lot of interesting things. Apparently, now you won't see
Yeah,
them on NASA photos. You got to do this yourself. Not that I've done it, but I know it's doable. But there's a lot of stuff going on the moon.
yeah.
Apparently, mining and around the back side too. It's not the dark side because sometimes it's quite lit up. the backside. That's when the side we're looking at's not lit up.
Have you heard about the lunar wave?
I probably have, but please
There's a
elucidate.
guy. There's a guy on YouTube who filmed like I think it was about 4 years ago. He filmed like a wave going across the moon, like almost like you know, on TV when the old TV where they used to refresh and you'd get like a line going from the top of the screen to the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, he basically filmed that on the moon, like the moon was refreshing.
Who knows? I mean, who knows what weirdness is going on there? And 5 mile high towers and things like that. And one of the earliest memories I have in this life is, and I don't know if this was pre-incarnation into this body or shortly thereafter, but it's a memory that is that early. But I remember being on some huge plane, a plane plane, and I don't know where it was, but it was like I was on the edge of a road, and there was no feelings associated with it of fear or anything like that. It was all alone. It was sort of desert like. It was the road appeared to be a circumference of about 10 or 15 miles, and I appeared to be ever so much east of south. And in the center of the whole thing was this tremendously high tower. And I don't know where that was. And it makes me think of these 5 mile high towers they say they see on the moon at times. But, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people believe the moon isn't really or they think it's man-made or alien-made, or
Yeah.
It's not a, what do you call it, a solid piece of rock that's floating out in space. It's hollow, or
it's a fabricated object.
Yeah.
Some sort of ship, so some sort of vehicle. And one time the year was 360 days. There's certainly enough evidence to suggest this very strongly. And what with just typical geometrical functions of a circle and the way you can do things, if you just sit down with a pair of compasses, and start playing with circles without altering your radius, you can get some interesting results. And you will see in short order how they managed the huge rose windows in the cathedral without so much as a pencil or two thoughts about it. All you needed to make the template was a big old compass. And a compass is easy. Just get yourself a stick, another stick, drive one stick into the ground, and then a piece of string or rope, start swinging it around. I mean, that's pretty primitive, but that's how it works. And if you want an oval, just use 2 points, 2 foci. And yeah, it's it's stuff that you just kind of learn and stuff into your knowledge base as you go along this life. But that's
it's very like I don't know if you know about the pyramids in Egypt.
I'm very much into the pyramids in Egypt,
and the way they've been built, almost to like within millimeters, tolerance.
Absolutely, I'm aware of that. I've been studying things Egyptian for years.
I believe there's like a window or something in one of the pyramids that points to the stars, and they worked out that for it to have worked, there would have had to have been 360 days in a year when the pyramids were built.
Right.
So they must have been built before the calendar changed, or before something happened on the planet to cause us to have an extra 5 days.
Yeah, which would have been either the Earth speeding up its rotation or the Earth's revolutionary period stretching itself out a bit to a greater distance.
But some people believe there was a collision which caused the Earth to slow down, and therefore it took 5 more days for us to go around the sun.
And the Egyptians have something that's called the 5 intercalary days. and those are representing the five. And the fifth is Nephthys, and the fourth is Isis, and I forget the first three. Yeah, I even have a really good book on hieroglyphics. That if you get through that book, this is like put out by USC, University of Southern California or something, and it's just really well written, and they shoved a whole lot into one little book. And if you can get through that, you'll be able to read and write hieroglyphics pretty well.
Mm.
And I have that, and I peruse it affectionately, and I love to study everything that's old British, the ancient British language, which is called Welsh these days, and all
All right, yeah.
the bards and the druids, and those are the two things that resonate most strongly with me are Egypt and Britain. And
I don't know what you think, Patrick, but I think a lot of our history is has been made up, or
well, a good deal of it's certainly been messed with and added
mhm.
to. I think that what with the thing in the Bible about there being, 5,000 years, well, that to me that represents the fact that we had our asses blown back to the Stone Age about 10,000 years ago when Atlantis went down, and we finally started getting things slowly back together. And it was only 5 or so thousand years ago that things started to be written again. Though the Egyptians were going along with their hieroglyphics this whole time, Egypt is so ancient; it just goes back into the mists of time. The pyramids were once in a tropical setting. Uh, it was not desert at all,
Mm.
and this is easily demonstrable, I think. And also, everyone likes to line up those three pyramids with Orion's belt. You probably are familiar, but
Yeah.
actually, there is a better lineup. And if you look at the Northern Cross, Cygnus, the Swan, do your lineup with those three, and the fit is just a mite better. And at one time, Deneb, the main star in Cygnus, was indeed the North Star.
All right, I didn't know
Uh-huh. Draco was too, but right now Polaris is reigning. But time will come when that changes, and this is all due to the nutational effect of in the pre of the tilt of the Earth and the precession of the equinoxes and the great year, etc., etc. That's why we're in the early age of Pisces, slowly backing into the age of Aquarius. But by dating, that won't really happen for another 400 years or.
that. Yeah, it's supposed to be a pole change or something like that. It's supposed to happen.
Yeah,
Um,
the word pole gets bandied about. However, it's never made clear just how and what they mean by pole, how they're trying to use the word, because you can have magnetic pole shifts,
yeah.
or you can have a physical pole shift where the Earth actually kind of flips over, which is not good for anybody, and you'll probably die when it happens. And that's why we got knocked back to the Stone Age, because something close enough to that has happened. And it seems to be a periodic thing every 3,600 years or so.
Well, then you're going to start talking about Planet X.
Yeah, something.
Zachariah Sitchin
Uh
theory about Planet X coming around every 3,600 years.
huh. Yeah, I'm real familiar with all that. I've studied all this for years, and there have been a couple of passages since Atlantis went down, and uh, that's why I like to read the Oralinda book, because it's an ancient account of the Frisian people, and the Frisians were the people who lived in the islands that are just off the coast of Holland, and they lived all over northern Europe too. They were the antecedents of the quote unquote Nordic peoples, but the Vikings were a bunch of base, brutish people compared to the Frisians. But it does make you wonder where they got such incredible shipbuilding technology. Well, it would have come from the Frisians, who were known as the Sea Kings. But they had a wonderful method of government. And they also worshipped, if I can use the word, I really don't like to use that word, but they venerated the goddess Freya, and also the greater a entity or being they were pleased to call Uralda, which means overall, Uralda. Free Asian is the closest language to English I've ever seen, except for the Middle Scots of Robert Burns. And you'll see a lot of Free Asian words in Middle Scots. And so it's just about that difficult to understand when you're trying to plow through the book. But I do appreciate the translation because I'm reading from a translation. I'm not about to try and read the old Free Asian.
I actually
However,
I found out recently that the language which my religion speaks, which is Punjabi, is one of the oldest languages that's still used today. I think
that
it's based on Sanskrit,
yeah, yeah,
and it's been used for thousands of years, and it's one of the only languages that's still being used today.
that's why I
Based on
love
Sanskrit,
India.
right?
Sanskrit's another one. Yeah.
Mm.
Now, and here's an interesting thing. If you read the Oralinda book, you're going to see the Punjab brought forth and mentioned quite a bit because there was a contingent of mid-European Germanic people who went and lived there for several hundred years before they returned to the area we now call Germany. And these were known as the Geertmen, and that's where we get German or German from.
All right.
And what's curious to me is the country or the area of Germany known as Bavaria, because the radical Bava is pure Sanskrit, and so yeah, but yeah, the what are they the pillars of Ashoka?
Mm.
Those are a curious and interesting bunch of pillars. They're said to be like some kind of non-corrosive iron. Who knows how they were made?
The English language is supposed to be not a very good language to communicate in because it's very low vibrational.
That's been said. I don't know how much that I really go with that because in the hands of someone who can really wield it, who can really speak it and write it. Now I'm talking about some of the intelligentsia, and I don't mean that in a bad way. That is leading into the elite or anything, but of like the late 19th century, some of your writers like Thomas Hardy or H. Rider Haggard, and I think they could just wield English like a sword and just there's more than 2.5 times the amount of words in English than there are in any other language. So we're often really not at a loss for finding the right word if your vocabulary is up to it. The problem is no one has any vocabulary anymore.
Yeah, but a lot of words have hidden meanings as well, which people don't understand. So they may be using words which they don't fully understand as well.
Yeah, and you have all the anachronisms and malapropisms, which can be hysterical.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened to Christine. She said she was coming back.
All right. Yeah, I know she's not feeling well.
Here's Christine. She said she'd be back after a cup of tea. If this is her swan song for Monday morning, it'd be nice to have her come in for a few minutes.
I can talk a bit more about the BASIS conference if you like.
Yes, please do.
Tell you the kind of people who will be at the conference. And we will have people like Kerry Cassidy there, who will be talking, as well as Dr. Richard Allen Miller, who will be covering a lot of stuff. Simon Parkes will be there. A lot of other people like Lauren Fenton, Cara St. Louis, Gabe Cruz is going to be there, probably by Skype from what I understand. A guy called Igor Witowski is going to be there. He's quite well known for his investigation about the Nazi bell. I don't know if you know about the Nazi bell.
I do. Joseph
gonna-
Barrel's big on that one too. I don't know if he's a member.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting story. And I've looked into it a little bit, but it's sort of linked with the Philadelphia experiment as well, really, with the sort of time travel aspect. And I don't know what really happened with the Philadelphia experiment. There's a few theories about that, where it reappeared like
every 20 years or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, I've heard
Um,
that. I've heard that story.
and again, yeah, there's can't remember a guy, I can't remember his name, but he travelled into the future apparently 300 or 400 years into the future and saw our future and stayed there for 2 years. But he was on board um, the ship that was used in the Philadelphia experiment. I can't remember the name of the ship.
The Eldridge.
That's it, yeah, the Eldridge. I don't actually know what happened to the Eldridge after the Second World War, after 1947.
Yeah, and that's kind of curious too, because there's an old Middle Scottish word known as called or said as eldritch, Eldritch, and that means strange and otherworldly.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there have been a few movies made about the Philadelphia experiment,
Mm-hmm.
showing interesting theories. But yeah, time travel is a whole other topic we could talk about, really, as to whether people are time traveling, and if they are, what are they doing or what are they changing?
Yeah. They're being awfully darn sneaky about it because it seems to me we would see a bit more uh, hints and clues about it. Who knows? Maybe we are. Maybe they're right in front of us. It's a curious thing, you know. You wrap your head, or you try and wrap your head around it, and it's not real wrappable at times. I'm not saying that don't. I don't do or don't think, you know, that it is something that happens. I look at it with interest and am open. I'll say that.
Yeah, there's all, you can go into the whole timeline thing, and you know there are infinite timelines, and you exist in every timeline, and you know decisions you make affect your future and your timeline. So you can change timelines and all kinds of things like that. Um, um,
Hmm.
there's a lot of theories about that. But yeah, the conference is going to have a lot of speakers which are going to be sharing information for the first time, which you won't hear anywhere else. And the conference will be held in August, over the weekend of Friday the 12th until Sunday the 14th. The Friday is actually our film festival. Basically, anybody who is into the alternate field and they want to make a movie about anything in the alternate area, like paranormal, UFOs, um, you know, people who are being targeted, they can do a movie about that. And there's going to be a film festival on Friday where all the movies will be shown and judged. And this is the same that happened last year as well. There are prizes given for the best movie. And on a Friday evening, there'll be an event held to present the winner of the film festival. And you can attend just the Friday if you like. If you just want to see the film festival, you can buy a weekend ticket or individual day tickets, depending on who you want to see. We don't actually know who's going to be talking on the Saturday and who's going to be talking on the Sunday at the moment. But if you want to buy the weekend ticket, and then you'll get to see everybody. I believe Christine is also appearing at the conference as well. So again, we're looking for volunteers as we're short of crew to help out on the day. We've had a couple of volunteers. Obviously, we need people to help out, make sure everybody, the speakers, are where they're supposed to be. Maybe to drive people back and forth from their hotels and stuff like that, and just help out on the day, especially anyone with experience of video editing or vision mixing, that type of thing. Because we had a few issues last year with audio and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
that's always a wild ride. If you don't have that ready to go and know it's going to work beforehand by at least a half an hour, if not 3 or 4 hours before, that can be depending upon your schedule with the room rented and everything too. That is a very very big consideration.
Yeah, it was difficult. I think last year we had I think Mars had an issue where somebody left the mic on and there was static on all the audio, which rendered the audio useless pretty much.
Well,
But luckily, you have several mics and you can get some audio from at least one of them. But that's why we need some volunteers so that Mars doesn't have to deal with everything by himself.
oh yeah,
Because I think Mars tends to take on a lot of stuff. And needs help with a lot of his stuff really. I mean, he's been doing it for a while now. And he does a great job at what he's doing, but there's only so much one guy can do.
literally, yeah. You do need more than two hands and arms at times just to get things done. It's an absolute.
Yeah, well, we're hoping we'll sell out the conference. We have been having issues with the website. So if you do go to the website and it's down, or you get an error message, we're basically trying to update the website at the moment. And during the update, it might be down for short periods of time. So just try again later. And tickets are on sale on the website, which is thebasisproject.org. So if you go there, you can purchase tickets and see who the lineup is. And if there's a particular person you want to see, buy tickets for that certain day. We do have an offer at the moment. If you buy tickets by July the 12th, you'll get a discount for the weekend ticket, and then the price goes up to the
How
normal
much
price.
is it?
I believe the price of the weekend ticket is £150.
Okay.
If you want to see just the film festival on the Friday, it's £40. And the day tickets, for a day ticket on Saturday, it's £70, and a day ticket on Sunday is £70. So you save about £30 if you buy the weekend ticket.
Well, I guess that's not too bad as long as you get your money's worth, And I don't see why you wouldn't.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, at the moment we've got maybe, in fact, I think we're going to have problems squeezing in all the speakers really, because we've got maybe about 15 speakers, and they're all going to have at least an hour or two each.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. That's a lot of a lot of speakers really to coordinate. And
It is, and coordination is an important word because you'll get a speaker who finds that they're having a good time, and all of a sudden, time's up, but they don't want to get off the stage.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And obviously, there are speakers who want to get specific information out at this conference, and so we want to make sure that they get that information out, and they have the time to do it. So it's going to be a lot of stuff to squeeze in, but it's it should be a pretty good conference. We're hoping. I know there are, these type of alternate conferences throughout the year. Many people, hold these conferences, but I believe Bases is probably one of the best around at the moment, anyway.
Weather permitting, do you ever consider doing it, making it a more of an outdoor thing? Of course, I would ask people to bring tents and camp out or get there from nearby places of sleep, but just a curious.
We're hoping that as it's being held in August, the weather should be good, but in the UK, it's a bit unpredictable, the UK weather.
Oh, I was
It,
thinking of some grand place like near Stonehenge where the energy is so high, Avebury, uh, one of the tours or something like that.
yeah, that would be good.
Very.
Yeah, that would be good to hold an event there, but I think Stonehenge is quite restricted these days as to.
It is, so I understand, but a place like that,
Yeah.
it may be too impractical. I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, I think cost is involved as well, really. Obviously, we have to put these conferences together on a budget, and I don't think we even will make much money on this conference, especially if we're flying people in from the States.
Yeah, and then
and
making
stuff like that.
money is not a prime cause with you, is it? I mean, it's nice to cover costs and everything, but it's not a for-profit thing so much as
That's right.
to
Yeah.
help people along. And is that a correct assessment?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Um, I think a lot of these conferences they do it, just to get the information out. Really, it's not for profit. It's really only one of the ways where a lot of these speakers can get their information out. Really,
Yeah.
and at the conference you'll get to meet these people as well if you have time. I mean, to sit down and have a chat with people like Kerry Cassidy or Simon Parks. It's a great opportunity to to meet these people who you may have watched their videos and their talks online. But um, it's um, it's good to meet these people as well face to face.
Yeah, it is for certain.
So I guess people tend to have an idea of what these people are like, from their online persona, as it were, and meeting them face to face. I mean, most of these people are quite open and friendly and quite happy to talk about pretty much anything, really. And they're a wealth of information.
That's important because you always can tell the genuine people because they are rather personable and open and not putting on any airs.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, most of these people, they do come across quite well. And again, I enjoy going to conferences myself, but I can't really afford to go to them at the moment. But you do get, to also meet other people as well. Not just the speakers, but other people attending the conference. Like-minded people. Like yourself, and again, they may not be part of the basis community, but they can talk to other people about maybe their experiences. Maybe they've had experiences with the UFOs that they can't explain, and they can talk to other people, maybe even talk to Miles about it, or some of the speakers at the conference, and try and get answers as to why it's happening, or what's happening to them maybe as well.
Yeah, and you always, or one tends to know when they like what they're hearing, and any sort of definite resonance is generally a good sign, as long as it's not just to feed your desire for the answers you think you want. But that's not what I mean, actually.
I think Miles might be coming back online.
Good.
He's just come off the phone anyway.
We've got about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
Thoughts?
Do you want to see if Miles is there? If he wants to come
Well,
on and maybe say something
Miles,
before
yeah.
we finish?
Let's see. I have.
Yeah.
Come on in, Miles. Hi.
Yeah, I think it's important to move this sort of movement that we find ourselves involved in to sort of a collective, a more coordinated collective on a peaceful and non-hostile footing, so that we don't generate any kind of potential reaction from the powers that be, which want to make us all into zombies. So I've been talking with one of the basis contributors, shall we say, who's turned an extremely hostile situation around by presenting it and dealing with it with a much more positive, forward, more openly, peaceful way of doing things. It's a little bit like putting these, like in the 1960s, when they put flowers in the barrels of the police's weapons.
Right. I remember that.
Sorry?
I remember that.
Yeah, it's just we're dealing with something so massive. I mean, I didn't pick up on a lot of what Taj was saying, so I hope I'm not repeating something. But I think the idea is to sort of create a a more coordinated, collective, widespread common goal of a peaceful re-establishment of our own living space, which we would call this planet, I suppose. And I hope maybe the base stations can evolve so that people do that, so that they do their own thing, but they do it with more of a sort of a common goal of peaceful re-establishment of this beautiful planet. Because the pathological control freaks who were running everything then are disempowered that way. Does that make sense?
Sure it does. And anything we can do to disempower them is definitely the thing to do.
Because talking to Kieran Lee Perrin and other people, I mean, the scale of control, I think a lot of this has to be done in what I would call subspace. I don't know how that's actually going to work, but the sort of common area of thought where we sort of all exist, and then we sort of express our existence in the so-called real world. Mm-hmm. And I think they're trying to get us to make the real world into something that they have control of. Well, they need us, whatever it is, the black goo, pathological artificial intelligence, or whatever some people call it, maybe it needs taught, helped, so it can evolve to a higher level, rather than us be scared of everything. And today is a new day, as they say, and we should move on with that.
Agreed.
So I think that's it, really. I mean, we'll be having our conference, hopefully. Again, the website's down, everything's down, and we'll just kind of try and get people together to arrive at Pusey on the 12th of August and spend a few days there in Wiltshire to evolve our spirituality and consciousness, and become informed and evolve it in a positive manner.
I had asked where you were planning on having it exactly.
It's a beautiful little village hall in the middle of Wiltshire, which is crop circle country to most people.
Stonehenge is Wiltshire.
And that's Wiltshire, England, which is a small country just off the east coast of Ireland. and that's
You're Irish.
Yeah. You American colonists got your accent from us people in the north of Ireland, by the way.
Especially us drawling Southerners.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm too happy to admit it, too.
Yeah. So, well, that's it. I think the idea is to expand things on a consciousness and positive way of doing things, because one of the reasons I don't speak at my own conferences is because a lot of the basic stuff is so sort of, oh my God, it's all sort of fear and all that sort of stuff. So I like to sort of push the feminine, have a balance of the feminine. Cara St. Louis will be doing a 2-hour presentation on that sort of stuff, and she's a great American but living in England, and she's actually teaching in London. So that's what she's having to keep things together. And I've been speaking with Harold Couch Vela, who's been sort of off grid, so to speak, for the last 8 or 9 months, since last sort of almost September. So he's been going through his period of, having talked all about the black goo and all sorts of stuff like that, and what the Germans are doing with it, and why it had all evolved here, and the manufacture of greys and stuff in England. We've got a big thing to do, but we can, as I say.
Yeah, I believe Harold is back. I just saw him put a video.
He's resurfaced, and he may be speaking at Kerry Cassidy's event in High Elms Manor in Watford on I think the 9th and 10th of July, and that's where the UFO Academy meets. It's a beautiful manor house which has been brought back from being a ruin. It's a very lovely place, and I'll be speaking there as well, along with Peter Paget. And Peter Paget is the British MI6 guy who's basically blowing the big whistle on UFO disclosure. He's actively disclosing the secrets of UFOs and what's all behind that. And it'll be only his second major public appearance, and he'll be speaking for 2 days at the Bases Project one in August. So that's actually 4 occasions to hear Peter Paget. Peter will not be repeating himself, so every time he appears, it'll be new information. He won't be going over the old stuff. So I was sort of thrust into giving him recording his work at the Warminster gig. So this is a major new event, and he was meant to be speaking with Steve Bassett here this month in May, only last week. And it was an opportunity for Steve Bassett of the Paradigm Research Group, or basically the American Disclosure, the Global Disclosure Movement, and it was a great opportunity. And Steve didn't want to basically deal with it. I think he said, "Not in this election year." I think that's the phrase.
That's an odd thing to say, but
So I mean, Steve Bassett was in England. I think he's still here. He stays often at a very brave woman's house in North London, a wonderful woman called Belinda Mackenzie, who's been a campaigner against this horrendous child trafficking, child abuse and stuff like that. That's prevalent so heavily in the powers that be, and they're spending an awful lot of time exposing it with false exposures so they can then keep it under wraps. But Steve had that opportunity to speak and have a debate with Peter Paget here in Devizes, where the Bases base is. Bases main station, God almighty. But that didn't happen. He pulled out of that. So Peter Paget will be speaking twice at High Elms Hall. That's north of London, in Watford, with Kerry Cassidy. Kerry Cassidy's touring this side of the pond with Richard Allen Miller, and he'll be speaking there with her. And he'll also be speaking at the Basis Conference in Pewsey, 12th, 13th, and 14th of August. And because the Basis Project website has been hacked or taken down again, we're having a great deal of trouble trying to sell tickets. So any way of getting that out there would be great. Okay.
Well, good luck, and that's the show. And thank you, two gentlemen. I appreciate it.
And thanks, Tash, for doing your first 2 hours.
Thanks, guys.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.